Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever looked at the change in your pocket and wondered if any of those coins could be worth big money, you're not alone. Rarest coins. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most talked about coins in the collector world, the 1965 Washington quarter. You may have seen headlines or social media posts saying that a 1965 quarter sold for as much as $1.9 million. Sounds incredible, right? But is it true? What's really behind this claim? Is your 1965 quarter worth a fortune or just face value? Let's find out. History of the 1965 Washington quarter. Let's start with the history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design features a profile of Washington on the front, or obverse, and a heraldic eagle on the reverse. It became a permanent part of American coinage and has been in circulation ever since. Now, the year 1965 was a major turning point in American coin history. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver. But rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to change course. In 1965, the government passed legislation that removed silver from dimes and quarters completely. That means starting in 1965, all quarters were made of a copper-nickel clad composition instead of silver. This was the beginning of the modern clad coin era. The composition of the 1965 quarter became copper on the inside, with a layer of nickel on the outside. It looked silver in color, but it was no longer made of actual silver. So the 1965 Washington quarter holds historical significance as the first clad quarter in U.S. history. Minting details and availability. Why now? Let's talk about mintage. The U.S. Mint produced more than 1.8 billion 1965 Washington quarters. That's right, over 1 billion with AB. It was one of the highest mintages in U.S. coin history at the time. These coins were struck at facilities that didn't include mint marks that year. That's another important fact. Due to the coin shortage during the mid-60s, the government temporarily removed mint marks from coins between 1965 and 1967 SO. If your 1965 quarter doesn't have a mint mark, don't worry. It's supposed to be that way. It doesn't mean you found an error. Coin specifies here are the technical details of the 1965 Washington quarter. It has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, weighs 5.67 grams, and is made of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. Unlike the pre-1965 coins, there is no silver content. Now, keep this in mind. If you see a 1965 quarter that looks like silver or feels heavier than normal, it might be something special, and we'll get to that in just a minute. What most 1965 quarters are worth. So, let's talk about value. The truth is, most 1965 Washington quarters are still only worth face value, 25 cents. That's because there were so many made, and most of them have been in circulation for decades. Unless the coin is in exceptional uncirculated condition or has some kind of error, it's not going to be worth much more than a quarter. Coins in average circulated condition, the kind you might find in your pocket change, typically aren't worth more than $1, even to collectors. But if the coin is in mint state condition, meaning it was never circulated and has no wear, it can be worth a bit more. A high-grade 1965 quarter, especially one graded MS65 or higher by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC, can sell for anywhere from $10 to several $100s, depending on the grade. The rare silver 1965 quarter. Now, here's where things get interesting. There is a known error where a small number of 1,965 quarters were accidentally struck on 90% silver planchets left over from 1964. These are known as transitional errors. It's extremely rare, but it does exist. A true silver 1965 quarter will weigh around 6.25 grams, which is heavier than the standard clad version that weighs 5.67 grams. Another clue is the edge of the coin. Clad coins have a visible copper stripe along the edge. A silver coin will not. So if you think you have a 1965 quarter that looks silver and feels heavy, you might want to get it weighed and examined professionally. Some of these rare silver transitional error coins have sold for serious money at auction, with prices ranging from $3,500 to over $15,000 depending on the condition and the specific error. The $1.90 million claim. True or false? Now let's talk about the big headline you may have seen. The claim that a 1965 Washington quarter sold for $1.9 million. Is that true? The short answer is no. As of now, there is no verified or documented sale of a 1965 quarter selling for anywhere near that amount. Most likely, that number comes from online clickbait articles or misinformation that takes rare coin stories out of context. Some articles take the price of a completely different coin, maybe a unique error coin from another year, and falsely attribute it to the 1965 quarter. Now don't get me wrong, some coins can be worth millions. For example, rare gold coins, early American coins, and unique pattern coins have fetched millions at auction. But a standard 1965 Washington quarter has never reached anywhere close to that price point. Even the rare silver transitional error versions top out in the five-figure range, usually under $20,000. And a top-grade regular 1965 clad quarter might hit $1,000 or $2,000 at best. And that's for coins in MS-67 or MS-68 condition, which are incredibly rare. So the truth is, the $1.9 million claim is false. It's either exaggerated or made up entirely. How to check if your 1965 quarter is valid? Here's what you can do if you want to check your 1965 quarter. Step 1. Weigh it. If it weighs around 6.25 grams, you might have a silver error coin. Step 2. Check the edge. If you don't see a copper-colored line along the edge, it could be silver. Step 3. Examine the condition. If your coin looks almost flawless, no scratches, no wear, lots of original luster, you might have a mint state example. Step 4. Consider getting it graded. If you suspect the coin is special, submit it to a grading company like PCGS or NGC. Grading confirms the authenticity and condition of the coin and helps determine its real market value. Step 5. Research auction records. Look at past sales of similar coins to get a realistic idea of what your coin might sell for. To wrap it all up, the 1965 Washington quarter is a fascinating coin with historical importance. It marks the beginning of the modern clad era in U.S. coinage. Most examples you find today will be worth face value, maybe a little more if in nice condition. But there are a few rare varieties out there, especially the transitional silver planchet errors, that can be worth thousands. That said, number 1965 quarter has ever sold for $1.9 million. If you see that claim online, know that it's just a myth or clickbait. But don't let that stop you from checking your coins. You never know when you might find a hidden gem. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Leave a comment below if you've got a 1965 quarter or if there's another coin you'd like me to talk about. See you in the next one. Let me know if you'd like help creating visuals or voiceover timing cues to go along with this script. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a deep dive into a coin you might have seen floating around in change or at the back of a drawer, the 1991p Washington quarter dollar. You've probably heard stories about it being worth $1.4 million. So let's investigate that claim. Explore the real history, the actual market values, and what would need to happen for one to truly be worth a lot of money. Whether you're a collector, investor, or just curious, you'll want to stick around. Segment 1. Historical background. Let's begin with the design and broader context. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932, commemorating the 200th anniversary of President George Washington's birth. The obverse, front, shows Washington facing left. The reverse, for this era, features the heraldic eagle. The designer was John Flanagan. By 1965, the U.S. Mint transitioned to copper-nickel-clad coins for circulating quarters, no longer silver. And that holds through the 1991 issue. For the 1991p version, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, often with no mint mark or sometimes P, and the mintage is about 570,968,000. The composition is 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel-clad over a copper core. So from the start, we're dealing with a high mintage, common date modern coin. Rarest, ORD plus 2 PCGS, plus 2 rarest, ORD plus 1 segment 2. Standard market values. Now, let's talk about the market value for a normal 1991p quarter. According to multiple sources, in circulated condition, the coin is basically worth its face value, 25 cents. Cointrackers.com +1 for uncirculated examples. the value rises modestly. One guide lists it at up to about $12 in decent mint state condition. Cointrackers.com +1 for high-grade certified examples. PCGS records show a 1991 MS67 auction at about $492 on June 30th, 2013. PCGS Another price guide shows that for MS67 Plus or MS68, values may enter into the few hundreds, but nothing near extraordinary. Price charting +1, so the picture. Most 1991 quarters are common and inexpensive. Even well-preserved ones, unless exceptional in variety or error, are modest in value. Segment 3. The $1.4 million claim. What's going on? Here's where we tackle the oft-cited claim that a 1991 Washington quarter is worth $1.4 million. Let's break it down. Given the data we have, high-certified specimens in MS67 grade have sold for under $500 in documented auctions. The mintage is about 571 million, meaning this is not a low-mintage coin. Thus, from a supply perspective, it's common. Because of that, there is no credible publicly documented sale showing a 1991 Washington quarter reaching a seven-figure value, 1 million plus. This strongly suggests that the $1.4 million figure is either the result of a misunderstanding. For example, someone misread $1,400 as $1,400,000, a speculative statement about a hypothetical ultra-rare error variety, not verified, a clickbait claim rather than fact. Therefore, unless you can produce credible proof of a unique error or variety of the 1991 quarter that sold for that amount, the million-dollar claim is almost certainly unsupported. Segment 4. What could make one worth a lot, but probably not a million? If a coin this common could ever approach higher value, what factors would have to align? Here are possibilities. Exceptionally high grade and premium eye appeal. If a coin is MS68 or MS69, flawless, perfectly struck, with superb luster and no marks, that raises its value. But even then, given the large mintage, the ceiling is modest, distinctive error or variety. If a 1991 quarter had a major mint error, think wrong planchet, major off-center strike, or a dramatically doubled die, and very few examples are known, then the value could leap. But currently no widely accepted error of that magnitude for that date has entered the market. Unique historical provenance. If one coin came from a famous hoard or was uniquely documented and graded, that could add a premium. Extreme rarity. For a coin to reach seven-figure value, it must be exceedingly rare, likely unique or nearly unique, and highly sought after by many collectors. For a coin minted at 571 million, that rarity simply isn't inherent unless there's a mistake variety with only a handful known. In other words, yes, a 1991 Washington quarter could be more valuable than typical if it ticks special boxes, but even then, a $1 million value is extraordinary and highly unlikely. Segment 5. Tips for collectors and what to look for if you have a 1991 Washington quarter. Here's what you should keep in mind. Check the condition thoroughly. Look for wear or handling marks, especially on high points like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. The less wear, the better. Look for errors or unusual features. For example, doubling on the date or letters, Liberty, In God We Trust, off-center strikes, or odd planchets. If you see something weird, photograph it, research it. Consider grading only if you believe it's exceptional. Submission to a professional grading service, PCGS, NGC, has costs and risks. You pay the fee. Coin might get a lower grade. If the coin is just average or common, it may not be worth it. Protect your high-grade coins. Keep in a holder, avoid handling the surfaces, avoid cleaning, which would reduce value. Don't fall for the hype alone. If someone tells you this coin is worth $1.4 million, ask for proof. Show me a graded certificate, a public auction result, a trusted reference. Your action should be based on documented evidence, not hearsay. Stay informed. Use reliable sources like coin grading service population reports, auction archive sales, and established price guides. Don't rely solely on social media claims. Closing/wrap-up to wrap up. The 1991 Washington quarter is a modern, high-mintage coin. Under normal circumstances, it is worth face value in circulated condition, and perhaps modest premium in uncirculated condition. While very high-grade certified examples can command a few $100s, there is no reliably documented case of one selling for $1.40 million that if you have one, keep it safe, inspect it carefully, and only pay premium for it if it truly stands out. Error, proof like, ultra high grade. And when you hear claims of million-dollar values, approach with healthy skepticism that if you enjoyed this deep dive and want me to do the same for other dates or mint marks, for example 1991D, 1991S, or error varieties, let me know. Until next time, happy collecting. If you like, I can also put together suggested visuals/timestamps for your YouTube edit, close UPS of the coin, grading examples, auction screenshot, side-by-side, what to look for error examples. Would you like me to build that? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into an interesting coin, the 1997D Washington Quarter. You may have seen videos or posts claiming that one of these coins is worth $1.2 million. We're going to break down the real history, the actual market values, what could make one extremely rare, and whether that million-dollar claim holds water. If you're a collector, investor, or just curious about coins, this is for you. Segment 1. Historical background. Let's start with how the 1997D quarter fits into the broader story of the Washington Quarter. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 by the United States Mint to commemorate the 200th anniversary of President George Washington's birth. The obverse, front, features Washington's bust facing left, and the reverse originally showed an eagle perched, designed by John Flanagan. Over the years, the design remained fairly stable until the series of design changes that began with the 50-state quarters program in 1999. At BY 1965, the Mint switched from silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition for circulating quarters. So any Washington quarter after 1964, including the 1997D, is struck in copper core with outer layers of copper-nickel. Now, 1997 is interesting because it marks one of the final years of the classic heraldic eagle reverse design before the state quarters program began. The Denver Mint, which produces coins bearing the D Mint mark, was modernizing its equipment and ramping up quality control. In fact, one collector guide notes that the 1997D mintage was 599,680,000. Coin week +2. Despite that large number, the coin is common in circulation, but as we'll see, condition matters a lot. Segment 2. Standard market values. So what is a 1997D Washington Quarter actually worth under normal circumstances? According to several trusted sources, in average circulated condition, it's basically worth its face value, 25 cents. For example, one site reports, in average circulated AC condition, it's worth around 26 cents. Cointrackers.com. When you move into uncirculated or mint state grades, MS, you can see higher values, but still nothing in the millions. For instance, one guide shows that uncirculated MS66 might bring a few dollars to tens of dollars. CoinWeek +2. Here are some snapshot numbers. For the 1997D quarter, mintage around 599,680,000, so very large. CoinWeek +1 collector guide says the auction record for a PCGS MS68 of the 1997D is about $1,708.88, including buyer's fee, for an ultra-sharp example. CoinWeek typical MS67 coins of this date may sell for around $70 or less. Nedlud coins +1. So yes, there are some examples that have crossed $1,000 in very high grades and pristine condition, but again, not even close to $1.2 million. Segment 3. The $1.2 million claim. What's that about? Now we come to the big claim, that one of these 1997D Washington quarters is worth $1.2 million. Let's examine where that might come from and whether it's credible that we know that for the 1997D, the highest documented auction sale is around $1,708.88 for MS68 in 2019. There is no reputable source or auction record that shows a 1997D Washington quarter selling for $200,000.coinweek +1, so the claim looks to be a misunderstanding or misreporting. Perhaps someone misread $1,200 or $1.2K as $1.2M, or they conflated another rare coin entirely. Without documented evidence of a coin in this date/mint selling at seven figures, it is safe to conclude that the $1.2 million number is not grounded in verified auction results. Another possibility: perhaps someone is speculating about a hypothetical extremely rare error or variety of the 1997D that could be worth a lot under the right circumstances. But speculation is not documented value. Therefore, when you hear 1997D Washington Quarter worth $1.2 million, treat it as unverified and unlikely, unless there is newly discovered, documented proof from a major auction house or grading service. Segment 4. What could make one more valuable? If normally the coin is common and worth face value, in typical condition, what factors could push some specimens into the thousands or more? Let's break that down. Exceptional grade/gem condition coins that were struck perfectly, never circulated, and retained full luster with no marks can command a premium. As we noted, one MS68 sold around $1,700. So decades of preservation, no handling, superb strike matters. Error coins or unique varieties in numismatics. Coins that were struck incorrectly, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, missing clad layers, double dies, etc., can jump in value dramatically. For the 1997 quarter series, some error varieties are documented. For example, a wrong planchet or missing clad layer can make the coin far more desirable. If a 1997D quarter had a previously unknown major error combination, and very few existed, theoretically it could fetch serious money. But again, no publicly documented example at the $1 million level is known. US coins value plus one historical significance/low population examples if a coin is one of a handful known or has unique provenance, e.g., from a famous hoard or collection, the market may treat it differently. For common date issues like the 1997D, this is less likely to make massive difference unless tied to an error or unique variety. Also, the grading population, for MS68 of this date, only a small number have been certified. According to one write-up, only 16 total certified pieces at MS68 for the 1997D as of a certain date. CoinWeek market trends/collecting demand. Even if a coin ticks all the boxes, error, high grade, provenance, the price still depends on whether collectors are willing to pay. Sometimes the premium is speculative and may not materialize. So putting that together, yes, there are ways a 1997D Washington quarter could be worth significantly more than typical, but the leap from a few thousand to $1 million would require extraordinary circumstances. Segment 5. Tips for collectors if you or someone else has a 1997D Washington quarter or several. Here are things to watch for and steps you might take. Check the condition carefully. Examine the coin under good light. Look for full luster, no signs of circulation, minimal marks. The finer the strike, the better. Verify the mint mark and authenticity. The D mint mark indicates Denver. Make sure it's genuine, not altered, and the coin hasn't been cleaned or damaged. Look for errors or anomalies. Things like doubling on lettering or date, missing clad layer, wrong metal, off-center strike. If you see something odd, note it and consider further research. Use reference books or online error coin guides. Consider professional grading. If you believe your coin is in exceptional condition or has a major error, submitting to a major grading service, like PCGS or NGC, may be a good idea. It carries cost and risk, submission fees, wait time, but the grade can significantly impact value. Manage expectations. Given the extremely high mintage of 1997D, near 600 million, the vast majority of these coins will only ever be worth face value or modest premiums in nice condition. Don't automatically assume this year means rare. Stay informed and compare reliable sources. Use trustworthy references, auction archives, coin grading population reports, price guides. Avoid clickbait claims of million-dollar coins unless supported by verifiable data. Closing/wrap up to recap. The 1997D Washington quarter is a very common circulation coin with a large mintage. Under normal conditions, it is worth face value or a small premium if uncirculated. There are high-grade specimens that have sold for over $1,000, but not anywhere near $1 million. The $1.2 million value claim appears to be unfounded based on current documented records. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more coin value investigations. Post in the comments if you have a 1997D or any rare coin you'd like us to look into next. Until next time, happy collecting, and always inspect carefully. Feel free to adjust length, add visuals like close UPS of the coin, grading charts, error examples, and your own personal commentary on coins you've handled or seen. Would you like me to include suggested visuals and timestamps for this script as well? Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a deep dive into a coin that might sit in your pocket change or coin collection, the 1993p Washington Quarter. We're going to look into where it comes from, how many were minted, what makes it common or rare, what it is and isn't worth, and tackle a headline you may have seen. 1993p quarter worth $1.3 million. Does that hold up? Let's find out. History and bang. The Washington Quarter, first issued in 1932, was designed by John Flanagan. The design features President George Washington on the obverse and a heraldic eagle on the reverse. The design remained largely consistent from 1932 through 1998, before the state quarters program began. The 1993 edition is a regular issue quarter from the United States Mint. In that year, the Mint produced coins at multiple mints, including Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, for proofs. For the Philadelphia Mint, the 1993p quarter is made of copper-nickel clad, not silver, and has a denomination of 25 cents. According to USA Coin Book, the mintage for the 1993p is 639,276,000. So that's over 600 million coins from just that mint alone. So right away that tells us this is a common date, not a key date. SBNS. Here's some quick facts about the 1993p Washington Quarter. It weighs about 5.67 grams, diameter about 24.3 millimeters, composition copper is almost equal to 91.67%, and nickel is almost equal to 8.33% clad. It bears the date 1993 with the P mint mark, or no mint mark in years when P is implicit, meaning Philadelphia. The design style is standard Washington Quarter. Because it is clad and not made of precious metal, its intrinsic melt value is very low. Value range. What it's really worth because of the very high mintage, hundreds of millions. The 1993p Washington Quarter in circulated condition is effectively worth its face value, 25 cents, or maybe a little more if condition is slightly better. Many guides list its value as ranging from face value up to perhaps a few dollars for uncirculated examples. For example, CoinTrackers lists typical value for a 1993p quarter from about 25 cents up to about $8 in very good uncirculated condition. Another guide shows for MS65, a high uncirculated grade, maybe around $10. For MS66, perhaps higher. But those are still in the low tens or hundreds at most. So the ordinary coins are cheap and common. What drives value UP? If you're going to find a 1993p quarter that commands real premium, you need special factors. A very high grade, MS67, MS68 or above, potentially certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. A very attractive coin. Pristine surfaces, original luster, no wear, no marks, perfect eye appeal. Possibly an error or variety, misstrike, double die, off-center, or other unusual minting event. These are far rarer. For example, one article mentions that a triple struck and off-center 1993p grade MS66 sold for about $780 in 2022. Oh yes, extremely rare coins with the right error or condition can push value significantly higher. But we're still talking thousands, not millions. For the 1993p regular coin at the $1.3 million claim. What's behind it? Now let's address the bold claim that a 1993p Washington Quarter is worth $1.3 million. Based on current data and known auction records, there is no credible mainstream sale of a 1993p Washington Quarter for $1.3 million. The coin is common, tens of millions in existence, and its standard market values are much, much lower. For a coin to reach millions, it must be extremely rare, perhaps unique, have provenance, perfect grade, MS70 or Proof 70. major historical significance, or belong to a dramatically different series or composition, e.g., 90% silver, ultra key date. The 1993 P simply doesn't fit those criteria within the standard issue clad circulation strike. Thus, the $1.3 million number is almost certainly a marketing exaggeration, a misunderstanding, or relating to a specific error specimen rather than the typical coin. If someone claims to have a 1993 P quarter worth that much, you'd need very strong documentation, grading, provenance, and buyer interest. And I'm not aware of any publicly verifiable sale to that level. So the takeaway. The vast majority of 1993 P quarters are worth very modest amounts. Only extreme outliers might ever reach thousands. $1 million territory? Extremely unlikely and unsupported by the mainstream numismatic market. How to evaluate your sign? If you have a 1993 P Washington quarter and you're wondering what it's worth, here's how to examine it. Check the mint mark. For 1993 P minted in Philadelphia. Examine condition. Is it worn? Are there scratches, dings, toning, luster? The fewer the imperfections and the more original the surfaces, the better the grade. Look for errors or varieties. Does the coin have obvious doubling of letters, off-center strike, extra metal, unusual planchet, etc.? These factors can boost value significantly. Consider grading. If you believe the coin is extremely high grade, MS66 or above, or has a major error, getting it graded by a reputable service could add value. But grading costs money, and there is risk of it not grading as high as you hope. Check recent auction records. What similar coins in similar condition are selling for? Don't rely on marketing headlines alone. Be realistic. Common coins, even uncirculated, may only fetch tens of dollars. Only rare error or perfect condition coins fetch hundreds or thousands. Don't expect millions. So in summary, the 1993 P Washington quarter is a very common coin. Hundreds of millions produced, part of a long-running series. Its regular market value is modest. Unless your particular coin is near perfect grade or includes a major error/variety, it's very unlikely to be worth $1.3 million. If you have one and believe it might be special, document it, get it graded, and compare with verified sales. But approach any bold valuation claim with healthy skepticism. If you liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more coin value deep dives, and drop in the comments if you've got a coin you're curious about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you like, I can also help you build on-screen graphics, show auction lots, and include error/variety examples to make the video even stronger. Would you like that? Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a deep dive into a coin that might be hiding in your change or coin collection, the 1998 D Washington quarter. We're going to look into where it comes from, how many were minted, what makes it common or rare, what it is and isn't worth, and address that big headline you might have seen. 1998 D quarter worth $1.1 million. Does that hold up? Let's find out. History and the Washington quarter, first issued in 1932, featured President George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, designed by John Flanagan. The design carried forward with minimal change for many decades. The year 1998 is notable because it marks the final year of the traditional Eagle reverse Washington quarters before the launch of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. In 1998, the regular circulation issues included the Philadelphia P, Denver D, mints, and in San Francisco S for proof issues. According to the data, the mintage for the 1998 D, Denver, regular strike was 821 million coins. That large mintage alone signals that this coin is common from a circulation strike perspective. PCGS.com. +1 WashingtonQuarters.org +1 STFAS. Here are the key specs for the 1998 D Washington quarter. Composition. The regular circulation strike is copper-nickel clad, about 91.67% copper, 8.33% nickel. Usecoinbook.com +1 weight. Approximate 5.67 grams for the clad regular strike. Usecoinbook.com diameter, 24.3 millimeters. WashingtonQuarters.org mint mark, D for Denver, placed on the obverse, to the right side of Washington's bust, for the 1998 D, because this coin is a modern clad circulation strike with a very high mintage, Its intrinsic value, metal value, is very low. Its rare value would only come from exceptional condition or error/variety status. Coin identifier plus 1 value range. What it's really WRTH because the mintage is so large, 821 million for the Denver regular strike. The 1998 D Washington quarter in circulated condition is effectively worth its face value, 25 cents, or maybe slightly above for nice pieces. For example, one value guide lists the typical value in average condition as around 25 cents for this coin. For uncirculated mint state, MS, examples, values rise somewhat. One source notes that MS-65 might bring a few dollars, perhaps up to $8 or so in high uncirculated condition for the regular strike. Another source states that MS-67 examples of this coin, which are extremely rare for such a common date, might fetch around $250. So the ordinary value range for this coin lies in the range from face value up to possibly a few $100s if the coin is superb condition, certified by a grading service, and has excellent eye appeal. Cointrackers.com plus 1 coinvaluelookup.comps.com plus 1 what drives large mess if your 1998 D quarter is going to command more than the usual modest premium. Here are what factors drive value up. Exceptional grade, MS-67, MS-68, MS-69, or even MS-70 if certified. For a coin with such a large mintage, the higher grades become scarce. As one article says, fewer than 50 coins in MS-68 grade might exist for this date. PCGS.com minting error or variety. For example, off-center strikes, double dies, struck on wrong planchet, missing clad layers, etc. These can sometimes radically change value. Coin identifier proof or special finish issues. Although for the 1998 D regular strike, those don't directly apply. Proofs come from S-Mint. But sometimes coins with proof-like or cameo finishes may carry premiums. Collector demand and provenance. A coin that is documented, certified, beautifully preserved, and marketed to collectors may fetch higher prices if the $1.1 million claim. What's behind it? Now let's address the bold claim that a 1998 D Washington quarter is worth $1.1 million. Based on current market data and known auction records, there is no credible mainstream sale of a standard 1998 D Washington quarter for $1.1 million. The coin is common, produced in the hundreds of millions, and its standard market values lie in the tens to hundreds of dollars for high-grade .1 documented sale. A 1998 D MS-67 Plus graded coin sold for $1,528 in 2015. Another example, the guide shows only modest values in the low hundreds for extremely high grades or error coins. So unless your coin is an entirely unique and previously unknown error or variety and properly certified, the idea of $1.1 million is almost certainly a marketing exaggeration. It may refer to an extremely rare error specimen, but for a standard 1998 D-clad regular circulation strike coin, it is not realistic based on current data. PCGS.com plus 1 coin value checker plus 1 how to evaluate your SEN. If you have a 1998 D Washington quarter and you're wondering what it's worth, here's how to evaluate it. Verify it is indeed the Denver Mint Mark D. Examine its condition. Are there wear marks, scratches, toner, luster? The fewer the imperfections and the more original the surfaces, the better the grade it might get. Look closely for any obvious error or unusual attribute, e.g., doubling, off-center strike, missing clad layer, wrong planchet, or other die variety. If you spot something unusual, document it and consider expert evaluation. Consider having it graded by a reputable coin grading service, such as PCGS or NGC, if you believe it is in very high condition or has an error. The certification adds credibility and marketability. Research recent auction sales for coins with the same date, mint mark, and similar grade/condition to gauge what the market is paying. Don't rely solely on list prices or unverified claims that be realistic. For the 1998 D regular strike, most coins are worth around face value unless they are top-tier grade or error. Plan accordingly. In summary, the 1998 D Washington quarter is a very common coin. Hundreds of millions were minted. It marks the end of the long-running eagle reverse design for the Washington quarter series, which gives it some historical interest, but not rarity. For the regular circulation version, the value is modest in most cases. Unless your piece is in superb condition, certified, or includes a rare error/variety, it is extremely unlikely to be worth $1.1 million. If you believe your coin might be special, get it vetted, graded, and researched. But for the vast majority of these coins, they'll bring only a modest premium above face value. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more coin value deep dives, and leave a comment below if you've got one of these in your collection and want to share your grade or condition. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you like, I can also help you build on-screen graphics, show auction lots, include error/variety examples, and provide a script version for a shorter Instagram reel. Would you like that?